Let's go further. By worship of the Lord,
who is the
who is
source
the
of
source
all
of all,
beings.
and who is all pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. This indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of everything, as described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya 111. The Lord Himself also confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the origin of everything. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all emanations, and at the same time, as Paramatma, He is spread all over the existence. The absolute truth is therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and every living being is meant to satisfy the Supreme Godhead by performing his respective duty. So karmana tamabhyaj. Prithu Maharaj wanted to introduce this formula amongst his citizens. The most important point in human civilization is that while one engages in different occupational duties, he must try to satisfy the Supreme Lord by the execution of such duties. That is the highest perfection of life. Swanusitasta dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. 1 to 13th verse. By discharge of one's duty, one can become very successful in life if he simply satisfies the Supreme Personality of God. The vivid example is Arjuna. He was a Kshatriya. His duty was to fight. And by executing his prescribed duty, he satisfied the Supreme Lord and therefore he became perfect. Everyone should follow this principle. The atheists who do not are condemned in Bhagavad Gita 16:19 by the following statement: Tanaham dushita kruran samsareshu naradana. In this verse, it is clearly said that persons who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the lowest of mankind and are very mischievous. Under the regulative principles of the Supreme, such mischievous persons are thrown into the darkest region of material existence and are born of asuras or atheists. Birth after birth, such asuras go still further down, finally to animal forms like those of tigers or similar ferocious beasts. Thus, for millions of years, they had to remain in darkness without the knowledge of Krishna. Yes, good question. Okay, is Prithu Maharaj coming in Satyuga? I don't know. I don't know. The age of Yagya Satyuga. It's honestly a Dhruv Maharaj going on. This is dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj going on. But how many generations is not very clear. Uh, so can guess at max, maybe it is somewhere close to Satyuga or Satyuga. But that's max. Prithu Maharaj is the ruler of the world. That's what is explained here. But Prabhupada explained, not ruler of all the planetary systems, ruler of this planetary system. Prabhupada clarified that in the purport some time back, right? It is not that he was ruling multiple planetary systems. As Maharaj Priyavrat, he was a bigger scale ruler. Prithu Maharaj is ruler of this world. At least Prabhupada says that 7 continents refer to the 7 continents within this globe, not the 7 Jambudvip planets. But in case of Priyavrat Maharaj, it was clear the Jambudvip planets. So, so we can guess at best, but what is not much place value of a guess. No, let's go forward then. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Purushottama, are the best of all the living entities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Purushottama, or the best of all the living entities. He is a person like all other living entities, but he is a leader or the best of all the living entities. That is stated in the Vedas also. Nitya Nityanam Chetana Chetananam. He is the chief of all eternals, the chief of the living entities. And he is complete and full. He has no need to derive benefit by interfering with the affairs of other living entities. But because he is the maintainer of all, he has a right to bring them to the proper standard so that the living entities can become happy. A father wants all of his children to become happy under his direction. Similarly, God or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has a right to see that all the living entities are happy. There is no possibility of being happy within this material world. The Father and the Sons are eternal, but a living entity, if a living entity does not come to the platform of his eternal life of bliss and knowledge, there is no question of happiness. Although Purushottama, the best of all the living entities, has no benefit to derive from the common living entities, he does have the right to discriminate between their right and wrong ways. The right way is the path of activities meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we have already discussed. Swanustikasta dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. It is therefore concluded that there are 2 kinds of duties: mundane duty and duty performed for the sake of yajna or sacrifice. Yajnarthat karma. Any karma, activity one performs which is not for the purpose of yajna is a cause of bondage. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra loko yam karma bandhana. Work done as a sacrifice to Vishnu should be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. 3.9 is this. Karma bandhana, or the bondage of karma, is administered under the regulations of the stringent laws of material nature. Material existence is a struggle to conquer the impediments put forth by the material nature. The asuras are always fighting to overcome these impediments, and by the illusory power of material nature, the foolish living entities work very hard within this material world and take this to be happiness. This is called Maya. In that hard struggle for existence, they deny the existence of the Supreme Authority, Purushottama, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you see, the best only happens when now in an administration of anything positive, there is a role of both parties. The person who is administering or giving or rewarding, and the person who is receiving. So the person who is rewarding, he goes on rewarding, that is not sufficient for the world to be happy, for people to be happy. We may say, okay, if Krishna is so merciful, why people are not happy? Krishna is so merciful, so he is profusely radiating happiness. But people are not collecting it. That's the point. Like, say, for example, even if even if say in a hard season, even if sharbat is being distributed, if one is taking sharbat, no, if one is taking sharbat in a proper patra, then he can receive it, drink it, take more, receive it, drink it, take more, is it not? But if that glass or pot in which is taking the sharbat, receiving the sharbat, if that glass is only broken and has hole, nothing will remain, is it? That's the whole idea. So people say, okay, if God is so active and He's all powerful, why we are not happy? Because now the patrata has to be made. That is why Prabhupada gives the analogy here when he says that okay, you can put food in the mouth of a person, but then at least he has to eat and chew. At least he has to chew, right? What so yes, uh, like you see in the Sankirtan movement, according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, the devotees are taking Krishna consciousness and just bombarding people. It's like putting food in the mouth. One is just passing by doing his whatever so-called illusory activities, and all of a sudden one hears kirtan, one bangs into a Bhagavad Gita, meets a devotee, some invitations from some festival, is it not? So that's putting food in the mouth. But then after that, the individual living entity has to chew. That's the point. So, uh, so this is what we have to understand. Therefore, it is said that the Supreme Lord has the right to worry about the good and bad of the living entity. It is so the logic that the living entity can go on doing whatever he likes, and Krishna should still ensure that there is happiness for the living entity. This logic is not a sound logic. Is it not? This logic is not at all sound logic. Uh, why? Because the person receiving is important. The person who is receiving the mercy, his patrata is important. Is it not? Like the sharbat, you cannot hold with the hands. Is it not? Much you will not get. Is it not? And if your hand like this, you won't get anything. Is it not? Your hand like this, you won't get anything. Right? So one has to create patrata for him to be able to hold the mercy, so that he can partake of the mercy. Right? Therefore, the recipient's role has to be cannot be denied. The recipient's role cannot be denied. Is it not? That is the point. Therefore, the Lord is worried about the good and bad ways of the living entity. That the living entity should be happy. And that is why the Lord not only bestows, but He is arranging that the living entities can get trained up. Is it not? Because if the living entities do not train up and fill in that minimum amount of effort which they have to do from their side to develop the patrata, the mercy will not seep into their existence. Is it not? They will not be able to hold the mercy. The mercy will just flow through. So for the mercy to seep through the living entity, otherwise, uh, Otherwise, the mercy will just come and go, is it not? Just like every year, Rath Yatra is to come, and that day, whoever is going through that street would get a glimpse of 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes of the Rath Yatra and Jagannath Swami and devotee dancing. But that's it, is it not? The mercy would come and go. After that, if one wants to know, one just touches it and goes, but no transformation happens. Is it like that? The transformation will happen when the person parks his vehicle, gets down, and comes in. Is it not? And then dances, hears, chants, be with the devotee, go to the pandal. Is it not? Take darshan, hear class, offer some donation, register for some program. Is it not? That is called as patrata. Is it not? Mercy available. Are we taking it? That's the point. So the logic that the living entity does anything and everything, and God should is omnipotent and He should still give happiness, doesn't sound good. Is it not? Doesn't sound good. Yes. 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 Yes, that's true. So Krishna has given so many avenues, we should take benefit of those avenues. In order to regulate the activities of the living entities, God has given us codes. Just as a king gives codes of law in a state, and whoever breaks the law is punished. Similarly, the Lord has given the infallible knowledge of the Vedas, which are not contaminated by the four defects of human life, namely the tendency to commit mistakes, to be illusioned, to cheat, and to have imperfect senses. If we do not take direction from the Vedas but act whimsically, according to our own choice, we are sure to be punished by the laws of God, who offers different types of bodies in the 84 lakh species of forms. Material existence or the sense gratification process is conducted according to the type of body we are given by Prakriti or material nature. As such, there must be divisions of pious and impious activities, punya and papa. In Bhagavad Gita 7:28, it is clearly stated, Ye shantam antagata papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrita. One who has completely surpassed the resultant activities of the impious path of life. This is possible only when one engages exclusively in pious activity, can understand his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. Thus, one engages in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This life of engaging always in the loving service of the Lord is called Adokshaja Diya, or a life of Krishna consciousness, which King Prithu meant his citizens to follow. The different varieties of life and of material existence do not come about by chance and necessity. There are different arrangements made by the Supreme Lord in terms of the pious and impious activities of the living entity. By performing pious activities, one can take birth in a good family, in a good nation. One can get a beautiful body, or can become very well educated or very rich. We see, therefore, that in different places and in different planets, there are different standards of life, bodily features, and educational statuses, all awarded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to pious and impious activities. Varieties of life therefore develop not by chance but by prearrangement. There is a plan which is already outlined in the Vedic knowledge. One has to take advantage of this knowledge and mold his life in such a way that at the end, especially in the human form of life, he may go back home, back to Godhead by practicing Krishna consciousness. The theory of chance can best be explained in the Vedic literature by the words Agnata Sukriti, which refer to pious activities performed without the actor's knowledge. He is performing activity, but he is not aware of it, conscious of it. That is Agyat Sukriti. But these are also planned. For example, Krishna comes like an ordinary human being. He comes as a devotee, like Lord Chaitanya. He sends his representative, the spiritual master, or the pure devotee. This is also the planned activity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They come to canvas and educate. And thus a person in the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord gets a chance to mix with them, talk with them, and take lessons from them. Somehow or the other, if a conditioned soul surrenders to such personalities, and by intimate association with them, uh, chances to become Krishna conscious, he is saved from the material conditions of life. Krishna therefore instructs, Sarva dharman parityajya mamikam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma shukah. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. The word sarva papebhya means from all the sinful activities. A person who surrenders unto him by utilizing the chance to associate with the pure devotee spiritual master or other authorized incarnations of Godhead like Prithu Maharaj is saved by Krishna. Then his life becomes successful. So Srila Prabhupada is proving the point of pre-arrangement uh, by establishing the theory of karma, by establishing that yes, there is punishment. Secondly, by establishing uh, the position of the Lord, that the Lord has every right to interfere. And why should he not interfere? Because the living entity might have forgotten the relationship with Krishna and may not be loving him, but Krishna doesn't forget his relationship. And therefore, Krishna will always remain loving, is it not? So, why should he not interfere? That's a sign of love, interference. So, that's the point. And therefore, Krishna is worried about the right and wrong ways. Then Prabhupada is bringing about responsibility on the part of the recipient. The recipient has to develop that patrata. There is, and therefore the recipient has to drive. The recipient has to drive. So all this, the Prabhupada is going to substantiate the point that there is pre-arrangement. It is not chance. There is pre-arrangement, and therefore, if we take to Krishna consciousness, then by that, by riveting or committing to the activities of Krishna consciousness, one safeguards himself from landing into sinful activities. Antagata papam takes place only when we fill our lives with Krishna conscious activities. Then the Dvanda Moha Nirmukta will take place. Then one will come out of this and surrender to Supreme. Then the smoothness of Abhidheya can be experienced. That's the point. That's the point. Yes.
The reason is because Krishna loves us.
Yes. So therefore, by yes, so Prabhupada is saying by chance may at least be Agya Sukriti. That is another point Prabhupada mentioned. But Agya Sukriti means forgetfulness on part of the living entity, but not forgetfulness on the part of the system. The system is all perfect and complete, and the system is making arrangements. The person forgot it, that's Agya Sukriti. So he is not conscious about it, and the person forgot it. But the Lord is making arrangements. And Prabhupada explains that very nicely. That why Agya Sukriti is at all working. Agya Sukriti is working because Krishna is making plans. Krishna is coming himself, he is sending his devotees, he is furthering the mission, and also that some or the other, everybody will, sometime or the other, everybody will bang. Is it not? Temples are being built, devotees are moving around, book distribution is happening, and a marathon is happening, Sankirtan is happening. So sometime or the other, anybody and everybody will bang, is it not? And who is responsible for this? The Lord is arranging it. It is Agyat only, the living entity is not able to understand what is happening, but Krishna is working. Is it not? There's no denying that fact. So everything is pre-arrangement, not chance. Prabhupada is speaking the whole purport to substantiate this aspect. There's no chance. Yes.
So like then sometimes like some things like don't have direct connection to the Guru, we don't have direct Krishna, so there is no reciprocation, yeah, alone, fighting. So that means any Krishna conscious awareness, any devotee, but कुछ भी Krishna conscious संग है वो Krishna का ही reciprocation, Guru का ही
Yes.
we can't say that our Guru is not caring for us, Krishna is not looking to know how much we are struggling. Krishna is paying more attention. We are inattentive.
Yes.
That we are so inattentive, we are not able to see when Krishna is coming to the devotees.
Yes, that is true.
So if we want to complain to Krishna, then we can complain for anything. And if we want to see how much Krishna is doing for us, then we'll understand how much we love him. And he is reciprocating.
Yes. So Krishna. So in terms of getting the opportunities to serve, getting the opportunities to associate and to practice, Krishna is personally reciprocating. Krishna's personal reciprocation, which is happening. So if we don't acknowledge, we stand to lose. So still we'll get some benefit because this is the path of auspiciousness. So another example in which we can understand what is Agya Sukriti is what that suppose just suppose some say cake Mahaprasad is being distributed, or pastry Mahaprasad is being distributed. Pastry, suppose pastry, like that, nice pastry, 3 layers with different layers of jam and cream inside, and there is strawberry, and there is cherry, and there is pineapple, as a topping, just imagine, like that, and it seems that there is a lot of supply, like that. So one piece is distributed to everyone. Still, it has not ended. Second piece is distributing. Is it not? Like that. So, but when one piece is being distributed, then before the second round starts, then they will say, okay, let's take a count. Who is not present? Oh, this Prabhu is not present. What he is doing? He is sleeping. Oh, he's sleeping. Let's keep a plate for him. So then devotees, because they are merciful and they are sensitive, they will keep one plate and put one piece of pastry in it and cover it. That's for the devotee who is sleeping. He didn't got up. After even though everybody tried, he didn't got up, right? But after that, they will see. They'll say, "Oh, a lot of prasad is still remaining. Let's take a second round. Everybody gets a second round of pastry." Is it not like that? And many people get satisfied by that, but there are some who need more mercy, like that. So they cry a bit more, like that. They get a third one, like that, and and there are some others whom the devotee is distributing as soft corners because they have done some extra good service sometime, like that, so they get a fourth share of the mercy, like that. So the point is, when we are available for Krishna's mission, we can get third serving, fourth serving, everything. Is it not like that? But if you are not aware of the whole thing, then that Agya Sukriti will get mercy. It will get only one. Is it not? So you see, that plate will not get double, triple, third thing, because something is kept, is fine. It's done now. Forget. Is it not now? Now whoever is active and live is the person on the floor. Is it not? I mean, that's the point. No? That's the whole point. That's the whole point, actually. So, so this also proves the point that devotees have affection for us, but not attachment. They will ensure that we get it, but not, you know. So that kind of thing can only happen out of attachment. Oh, for my child. You're giving a second one also, first for my child, then for me. That is attachment, mohapas. One piece is affection. Doesn't matter. One piece is affection. So this is called as Agyat Sukriti, not like that. Therefore, let's not just reconciliate with the fact that Agyat Sukriti we'll anyways get. Is it not? No? So Agyat Sukriti will not enjoy that much. No? Is it not? Better to be fully available for the mission. Then you can enjoy a lot. Unlimited serving. Is it not? Like that. So let's stop here.
If by that Jnana also is because the devotees love that fellow. Krishna loves, so that devotee wakes up and then partakes, then he'll get more. But that Agyasakti is also not Agyasakti, it's the mercy of
Agyasukriti is arrangement, correct. Prabhupada is saying. Agyasukriti is arrangement on behalf of the Lord. Only the living entity has to wake up and recognize.
suddenly fellow प्रकट हुआ है.
Yes.
अगर तुम सोचो कि मेरे ही किस्मत का लाभ मुझे मिल गया, नहीं, devotees have arranged.
Devotees have arranged the destiny for you. Prabhupada used to say that. Hari Bol, Granthra Srimad Bhagwatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna.